Attend closely, for the matters before us are older than kingdoms and sharper than steel. In the narrow streets of Renaissance Italy, where stone walls remembered every betrayal and every triumph, men learned early that fortune is a restless guest. She does not dwell long where she is praised, nor does she obey those who beg her favor. She moves instead toward those who understand her nature and prepare their house before she arrives. This was an age of flickering torchlight and whispered alliances. City-states rose and fell not by chance, but by calculation. Gold passed from hand to hand, yet gold alone did not decide who ruled and who obeyed. Power belonged to those who saw clearly, waited patiently, and acted without illusion. It was in this world that Niccolò Machiavelli walked, observed, and wrote. He did not dream of ideal men. He studied real ones. He watched how rulers gained wealth, how they lost it, and how often they destroyed themselves by misunderstanding what wealth truly was. To Machiavelli, riches were never mere coins piled in chests. Wealth was command over outcomes. It was influence without announcement. It was the quiet ability to bend tomorrow before it arrived. Many believe wealth comes from labor alone, or from fortune's smile, but the Renaissance taught a harsher lesson. Wealth favors those who govern themselves before attempting to govern others. It belongs to those who master desire, fear, timing, and restraint. Coins are only the shadow cast by deeper forces. What follows are 7 ruthless principles of wealth, understood not as indulgence, but as dominion. They are not gentle truths. They were never meant to be. They were forged in courts where a misplaced word could ruin a lineage, and where foresight was the difference between abundance and exile. Listen not as a dreamer, but as a steward of your own fate. For wealth, rightly understood, is not what you possess, but what you can protect, direct, and expand without being seen. Principle 1, wealth obeys the disciplined, not the desiring. In every city, there were men who spoke endlessly of riches. They praised abundance in public squares and cursed their poverty in private rooms. Yet the same men remained poor year after year, while quieter figures, often unnoticed, slowly gathered influence and security. The error of the first was not lack of effort, but excess of longing. Desire, when left ungoverned, makes a man impatient. Impatience blinds judgment, and judgment, once blinded, becomes a servant of impulse rather than reason. Niccolò Machiavelli observed that men who hunger openly for gain are easily led, easily trapped, and easily ruined. They reveal themselves before they are ready, and in revealing themselves, they surrender advantage. Consider a vineyard on a hillside. The undisciplined man pulls at the vines before the season has turned, demanding fruit from branches not yet hardened. He bruises what he touches and weakens what might have endured. The disciplined steward, however, prunes when necessary, waits when required, and accepts scarcity now to ensure abundance later. Wealth follows the second man not because he is favored by fortune, but because he does not chase her. He prepares a place where she may stay. In the courts of Italy, it was known that the man who spoke least of gain often gained the most. He did not rush to display ambition. He did not burn his strength seeking admiration. He governed his appetites as one governs a city under siege, carefully, strictly, and without indulgence. Discipline is not denial for its own sake. It is command. A disciplined man decides when to act, when to wait, and when to withdraw. He is not pulled by every promise of reward. Thus, he remains free while others are bound by their cravings. Desire announces need. Discipline conceals intention. And in concealment, power grows. If you would possess wealth in its truest form, begin by ruling yourself as you would rule a province. First, restrain your speech regarding what you seek. Let no one know the full measure of your aims. Speak modestly of your intentions, even when they burn fiercely within. What is concealed cannot be easily opposed. Second, train yourself to endure delay. Do not seize every opportunity that presents itself. Some opportunities exist only to reveal your weakness. Learn to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important. The disciplined man waits not because he fears action, but because he chooses the moment of advantage. Third, reduce needless indulgence. Not because indulgence is evil, but because dependence is dangerous. The man who requires much must submit to many. The man who requires little may negotiate from strength. Order your days. Keep promises to yourself before making them to others. Accept small discomforts willingly so that greater trials do not break you. Discipline, practiced quietly, becomes reputation without proclamation. In this way, wealth begins long before possession. It begins as posture. It begins as self-command. Those who master themselves create the conditions where influence, resources, and loyalty gather naturally, as birds gather where there is shelter. Ignore this principle, and you may still gain riches, but you will not keep them. The undisciplined man rises quickly and falls publicly. His desires betray him. His excess creates enemies. His impatience exposes him to traps disguised as gifts. What he gains by hunger, he loses by haste. He becomes known not for strength, but for need. And need invites exploitation. Others will wait for him to err, knowing he cannot resist what he wants too openly. Yet discipline alone does not secure wealth, because even the most disciplined man may be ruined if he misunderstands where wealth truly begins. For the next principle reveals why visibility is often the enemy of preservation, and why those who shine too brightly rarely endure the turning of fortune's wheel. Principle 2, wealth endures by invisibility, not display. In every age, men have mistaken brightness for strength. They believe that what is seen is what is secure, and that what is admired is what is protected. Renaissance Italy corrected this error with relentless clarity. The most visible fortunes were often the first to be challenged, while quieter holdings endured through storms that shattered grander houses. Niccolò Machiavelli understood that attention is a cost, not a reward. When wealth announces itself, it awakens desire in others. Desire soon turns into calculation. Calculation gives birth to rivalry, and rivalry, when fed by envy, rarely rests until something is taken or destroyed. Consider the difference between a beacon and a hearth. The beacon draws all eyes from afar. It guides travelers, but it also reveals its position to enemies. The hearth warms those within the home, unnoticed by the world beyond its walls. One is admired, the other is preserved. Wealth behaves in the same manner. Display invites judgment. Judgment invites challenge. Challenge invites conflict. And conflict consumes resources faster than silence ever could. In the courts of princes, those who paraded their riches were spoken of often. They were praised, envied, and closely watched. Those who kept their abundance modest were underestimated, and in underestimation, they found safety. True wealth prefers shadow to stage. This does not mean poverty of spirit or fear of recognition. It means understanding that what is hidden is harder to measure, harder to attack, and harder to seize. Visibility gives others a map. Invisibility denies them direction. The wise man allows others to misjudge him. He appears less capable, less powerful, less wealthy than he truly is. In doing so, he avoids becoming a target of ambition greater than his own. If you would protect what you build, resist the urge to be seen. First, practice restraint in celebration. Do not mark every success with announcement. Let achievements settle quietly. What grows without noise roots more deeply. Second, avoid unnecessary comparison. When men measure themselves against you, they decide whether to compete. Remove the measure, and you remove the contest. Third, allow others to believe they understand your limits. Do not correct their assumptions. A man whose strength is underestimated holds an advantage that no display can purchase. Choose simplicity in outward manner. Let others confuse modest appearance with modest means. This confusion shields you. Guard especially against vanity. Vanity seeks witnesses. Wisdom seeks durability. If recognition must come, Let it arrive late and without invitation. What is discovered is respected more than what is announced. In this way, wealth remains yours rather than becoming an object of public desire. Those who reject this principle often become prisoners of their own image. They must maintain appearances. They must defend reputation. Their wealth is no longer a tool, but a performance. Each display creates new expectations, and each expectation becomes a burden. Soon they are surrounded not by allies, but by observers waiting for decline. When fortune shifts, as it always does, their fall is swift and widely celebrated. They learn too late that admiration is fleeting, but resentment is patient. Yet invisibility alone cannot protect wealth if one fails to understand the nature of those who seek it. For the next principle reveals why accumulation without position is merely another form of poverty. Principle 3, wealth is born of position, not accumulation. Many men labor their entire lives under a dangerous illusion that wealth grows by addition alone. They believe that if one gathers enough pieces, enough favors, enough rewards, the sum will eventually become power. Renaissance Italy exposed the falseness of this belief with brutal clarity. In the courts and councils of that age, there were men who possessed chests filled with coin, yet trembled when others entered the room. And there were men with modest means whose words could redirect armies and silence rivals. The difference between them was not fortune, but position. Position is the invisible throne upon which wealth sits. Niccolò Machiavelli understood that wealth does not originate in possession, but in placement. A man poorly placed must defend every gain. A man well placed allows gains to defend him. The first lives in constant anxiety, the second in calculated calm. Imagine a bridge crossing a narrow river. Travelers must pass it regardless of their destination. A man who owns land far from this crossing may harvest grain, yet his influence ends at his fence. But a man who controls the bridge may demand tolls, favors, or silence. He need not chase wealth. Wealth must pass before him. This is the nature of position. It is not loud. It does not glitter. It is often mistaken for insignificance by those who measure power only by visible abundance. In Renaissance councils, Machiavelli observed how certain men spoke rarely, yet when they did, the room adjusted itself. Their strength came not from riches already held, but from their place within the structure of decisions. They were near the source of movement. They stood where choices converged. Accumulation without position is burden. It must be guarded, explained, and justified. Position without accumulation is opportunity. It attracts resources as water flows toward lower ground. Thus, wealth begins not with what you gather, but with where you stand. If you would pursue wealth wisely, do not ask first, "What may I gain?" Ask instead, "Where must I stand so that gain comes naturally?" Seek proximity to decision rather than possession. Align yourself where outcomes are shaped, not merely observed. A man who influences the path of events will never lack resources for long, for others will bring them willingly in exchange for favor or stability. Do not strive to be the loudest voice. Strive to be the necessary one. Make yourself useful in ways that cannot be easily replaced. When others depend upon your presence to complete their designs, your position solidifies. Guard your place carefully. Do not overreach. A position held quietly endures longer than one seized dramatically. Avoid envy by appearing modest. Avoid suspicion by appearing loyal. Position grows strongest when it is least advertised. Understand also when to withdraw. Position is not fixed stone. It is shifting ground. When a place becomes exposed, step back before it collapses. Preserve your standing rather than clinging to pride. In time, you will find that wealth approaches you differently, not as a prize to be chased, but as a companion to be managed. Those who ignore position often live in constant defense. They labor to accumulate, only to discover that accumulation attracts predators. Without standing, every gain invites challenge. Such men mistake motion for progress. They are busy, yet powerless. They possess yet cannot command. Their wealth becomes a weight that slows them while others decide their fate. They learn too late that riches without position provoke envy, but do not command respect. Yet position alone is fragile if it rests upon the goodwill of others. For the next principle reveals why wealth must be secured not only by place, but by perception, and why those who are loved too openly often lose everything they hold. Principle 4, wealth grows. Where control is quiet, not where force is loud. In the cities of Renaissance Italy, power announced itself in many ways. Some men wore it openly, like armor polished for display. Others carried it quietly, like a hidden blade beneath a robe. Time revealed which kind endured. Force is noisy, control is silent. Niccolò Machiavelli observed that men who rule by open pressure invite resistance, while those who govern through quiet arrangement often go unchallenged. The same law applies to wealth. When wealth is enforced through fear or visible domination, it provokes envy, plots, and eventual loss. When it is maintained through unseen control, it appears natural, even deserved. Imagine two stewards of land. One shouts orders, threatens punishment, and demands obedience at every turn. The other arranges duties so carefully that work continues even in his absence. The first is obeyed only while watched. The second is obeyed even when unseen. Wealth behaves in the same manner. Loud power must constantly prove itself. Quiet control needs no display. It is woven into habit, expectation, and structure. Those under it often do not recognize it as power at all. In councils and courts, Machiavelli saw rulers who exhausted themselves by commanding every detail. Their authority depended on constant presence. When they slept, disorder grew. Meanwhile, wiser figures shaped systems, loyalties, and routines that carried their will forward without effort. Control, when done correctly, feels inevitable. This is the highest form of wealth, not the ability to command, but the ability to make command unnecessary. The man who masters quiet control does not chase obedience. He designs conditions where obedience is the simplest path. Others comply not because they are forced, but because alternatives seem costly or confusing. Such wealth is rarely attacked because it is difficult to name. Enemies cannot strike what they cannot clearly see. If you would grow wealth that endures, remove the need for constant assertion. First, arrange matters so that others benefit by maintaining what you desire. When people protect their own interest, they unknowingly protect yours. This alignment is stronger than any threat. Second, reduce visible struggle. Do not argue for every advantage. Let outcomes speak. When others believe events unfold naturally, they resist less. Quiet victories last longer than dramatic ones. Third, place yourself slightly apart. Do not be everywhere. Scarcity of presence increases authority. When your involvement feels rare, it gains weight. Build habits, agreements, and expectations that continue without your attention. Wealth secured in this manner does not drain your strength. It frees it. Above all, avoid ruling by temper. Anger reveals loss of control. Patience conceals preparation. Those who remain calm while shaping events appear harmless, until it is too late to oppose them. This is not weakness. It is refinement. Those who ignore this principle often mistake domination for security. They raise their voice, tighten their grip, and expose their fear. Their wealth depends on vigilance. The moment they relax, it is challenged. The moment they falter, it is taken. Their power grows brittle. It cracks under pressure because it was never supported by structure. In the end, they must choose between exhaustion and collapse. Yet even the quietest control can fail if it rests upon trust alone. For the next principle reveals why wealth must be defended not only by arrangement, but by foresight, and why those who plan only for today often surrender tomorrow without a fight. Principle 5. Wealth belongs to those who prepare for absence, not presence. In the affairs of men, nothing is more certain than absence. A ruler will fall ill. A steward will be called away. A powerful man will one day be unseen, unheard, or forgotten. Renaissance Italy understood this truth well, for fortunes often collapse not during moments of strength, but during moments of absence. Niccolò Machiavelli observed that many men ruled effectively only while they were present. Their authority lived in their voice, their gaze, their immediate command. When they departed, confusion followed. When they weakened, rivals gathered. Their wealth depended entirely on their visibility, and thus it was never truly secure. True wealth survives its owner's silence. Imagine a watchtower guarding a city gate. If it stands only while guards shout warnings from its peak, it fails the moment they rest. But if its foundations are strong, its walls high, and its design sound, it protects even when no voice calls out. So it is with wealth. Those who build their power only through personal effort must constantly attend to it. Their wealth consumes them. They cannot step away without loss. But those who prepare for absence create arrangements that endure without supervision. Their influence continues even when they are unseen. In the courts, there were men whose departure caused panic, and others whose absence went unnoticed because nothing faltered. The second were the truly wealthy, though few recognized it. Wealth that cannot survive without you is not wealth. It is labor disguised as possession. The highest form of control is not presence, but continuity. If you would secure wealth that endures, design your affairs as if you will not always be there to defend them. First, reduce dependence on your constant attention. Arrange responsibilities so that they function by habit, not instruction. When order relies on routine, it resists disruption. Second, spread knowledge carefully. Do not make yourself the only keeper of essential understanding. Teach just enough to ensure continuity, but not enough to invite replacement. Balance is crucial. Third, test your absence. Step away deliberately and observe what weakens. Where disorder appears, strengthen the structure, not your involvement. Each weakness revealed is an opportunity to build permanence. Avoid creating systems that flatter your importance. Create systems that render your presence unnecessary. This is not self-erasure, but self-preservation. In time, you will discover a strange freedom, the ability to leave without fear. Wealth maintained in this way grants peace, not anxiety. This was a lesson Renaissance states learned painfully, and one Machiavelli returned to often in thought, if not always in ink. Stability is the truest sign of power. Those who ignore this principle chain themselves to their own success. They cannot rest without risk. They cannot depart without decline. Their wealth demands constant sacrifice, and eventually, exhaustion erodes judgment. When misfortune arrives, as it always does, nothing stands in their absence. What they built collapses like a tent without poles. They are remembered not for what they created, but for how quickly it vanished. Yet even wealth that survives absence may still be lost if it invites too much attention. For the next principle reveals why wealth must be guarded not only from enemies, but from friends, and why misplaced trust has undone more fortunes than open conflict ever could. Principle 6. Wealth is preserved by measured trust, not open hands. Among the gravest errors men commit in the pursuit of wealth is believing that goodwill is protection. In Renaissance Italy, many fortunes were lost not to open enemies, but to familiar faces. A smile often concealed a calculation. A favor given freely was remembered not with gratitude, but with opportunity. Men learned often too late that trust unmeasured is an invitation, not a virtue. Wealth attracts proximity. Those who possess nothing are left alone. Those who possess something are surrounded. And those who possess much must distinguish carefully between companionship and interest. Trust, when granted without examination, weakens control. It loosens boundaries. It encourages others to reach where they should not. This does not mean that all men are false, but that all men respond to advantage when it appears. Consider a city gate. If it is sealed always, trade dies. If it is open to all without watch, the city is conquered. Wisdom lies not in refusal, nor in generosity, but in regulation. So it is with trust. The wealthy man who believes himself loved often confuses politeness with loyalty. He assumes familiarity implies restraint, yet familiarity often emboldens. Those closest see the patterns, the weaknesses, the unguarded hours. Thus, the greatest losses are rarely sudden. They occur gradually through small permissions granted, small boundaries ignored, small confidences shared. Measured trust preserves distance even in closeness. It allows cooperation without surrender. It invites assistance without dependence. It maintains authority without hostility. Wealth requires allies, but it cannot survive caretakers who feel entitled rather than obligated. If you would preserve what you have built, distribute trust as you would distribute responsibility, slowly and with condition. First, separate courtesy from confidence. Be gracious without revealing necessity. Let others enjoy your favor without accessing your foundation. Second, test loyalty through small matters before larger ones. Observe how others handle what is minor. Carelessness in little things foretells recklessness in great ones. Third, retain final control. Advice may be shared, tasks may be delegated, decisions must remain yours. The moment others decide on your behalf without restraint, your wealth begins to shift away from you. Do not explain every choice. Explanation invites negotiation. Silence maintains authority. Keep some matters known only to yourself. Privacy is not suspicion, it is preservation. Remember that distance can coexist with kindness. Respect grows where boundaries are clear. In this manner, trust becomes a tool, not a weakness. Those who ignore this principle often discover betrayal without malice. They are not overthrown by hatred, but eroded by familiarity. Their generosity creates entitlement. Their openness removes caution. Their trust replaces vigilance. When loss arrives, it feels personal, though it was structural. They mourn relationships, unaware that relationships were never the cause. The cause was absence of measure. What they gave freely, others took naturally. Yet even the most careful trust cannot secure wealth if one fails to understand the movement of time. For the final principle reveals why patience is the sharpest instrument of power, and why those who rush to possess often arrive too early to endure. Principle 7, wealth answers to time, not urgency. Of all forces that shape the fate of men, none is more misunderstood than time. In Renaissance Italy, fortunes were not destroyed only by enemies or mistakes, but by haste. Men acted too soon, claimed too early, struck before conditions were ripe. They mistook movement for progress and urgency for wisdom. Time, indifferent to their impatience, punished them without anger and without mercy. Niccolò Machiavelli observed that time is not merely a backdrop to power, but one of its chief instruments. Those who learn to move with time command outcomes. Those who rush ahead of it expose themselves. Wealth is not seized in a single moment. It is formed, protected, and expanded through sequences. Each stage demands a different posture: waiting, advancing, restraining, withdrawing. The man who applies the same force at every moment fails to understand the nature of endurance. Imagine a river in flood. The impatient man attempts to cross it once and is swept away. The patient man waits until the waters settle or seeks a narrower passage upstream. Both desire the same destination. Only one arrives. Time reveals what strength conceals. Many men gain wealth quickly through boldness or fortune. Few keep it. Why? Because they act as if tomorrow will resemble today. They assume momentum will continue. They forget that time changes allies, conditions, and appetites. The wise understand that wealth must be synchronized with circumstance. What is possible today may be dangerous tomorrow. What is impossible now may become inevitable later. Time rewards those who can endure delay without decay. This is why the most enduring fortunes appear slow. They advance in silence. They retreat without shame. They pause without fear. They wait not because they are weak, but because they are prepared to outlast. Urgency seeks immediate relief. Patience seeks lasting command. If you would master wealth in its final and highest form, train yourself to respect time as a partner rather than an obstacle. First, abandon the need for immediate completion. Not every effort must reach conclusion at once. Some advantages mature only when left undisturbed. Learn to leave matters unfinished when finishing them would expose you. Second, observe cycles. Every environment moves through phases of openness and resistance, expansion and contraction. Act during openness. Consolidate during resistance. Those who push during closed seasons exhaust themselves. Third, cultivate endurance of uncertainty. Time often withholds clarity. Do not force decisions merely to escape discomfort. The man who waits gains information. The man who rushes gains regret. Fourth, plan beyond your own strength. Assume that energy fades, attention weakens, and fortune turns. Build methods that survive decline. This requires humility, not pessimism. Guard against urgency disguised as opportunity. True opportunity does not demand desperation. It allows consideration. It survives delay. Finally, understand that withdrawal is not defeat. Retreat preserves position. Silence preserves leverage. Waiting preserves choice. When you no longer feel compelled to act, you are closest to command. This is the discipline of time. Those who reject this principle live in constant motion and constant exposure. They act before understanding. They expand before securing. They celebrate before stabilizing. Their wealth grows quickly and collapses publicly. Time ignored becomes their adversary. They blame misfortune, rivals, or fate, never realizing that haste placed them in reach of every danger. What they could have held quietly for a lifetime, they sacrificed for speed. Thus, we arrive at the final truth. Wealth is not a reward granted by chance, nor a treasure claimed by force. It is a discipline of perception. It is the ability to govern oneself, to choose position over possession, control over noise, preparation over presence, invisibility over display, measure over trust, and patience over urgency. Those who understand these principles rarely speak of wealth. They move calmly through uncertainty. They appear ordinary while shaping outcomes. They let others rush while they endure. This was the lesson drawn from courts and councils, from victories remembered and downfalls forgotten. It was the quiet conclusion reached by Niccolò Machiavelli himself, that power, like wealth, belongs not to the most eager, but to the most prepared. In the end, fortune does not ask who desires her most. She asks who can wait, and she remains only with those who can. If this video changed how you think about wisdom and power, hit that like button. If you want more content about psychology, strategy, and human behavior, subscribe and ring the notification bell.